Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Tastemakers podcast. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and we are here today to talk about the latest in the world of TV and film, to taste the things you might not want to put in your mouth and let you know what's good and what's not. With us today, though, is a special guest. Chappell is joining us. How you doing, Chappell?
I heard we were putting things in our mouths, so I showed up to get a taste.
Normally this happens where Taran says something along those lines, and I'm like, okay, moving on. And then today with Chappell here, I'm like, I don't know, Taran, we might need our branding. We're supposed to seem really smart, and then we're like, we ate everything and put stuff in our mouth.
Yeah. And here we are. We're gonna eat this podcast too.
You know, there's a world where we are like the tastemakers, right? A high society. There's also the world where we are those people at the castle that taste the food before the king does.
So true. Yeah. I've never thought about it like that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you're doing the Lord's work here, right? Like everybody can't watch everything, and so y'all taste a little bit of all of it, so that you can tell us all what is good and what's not good, or what you like. It might not be good, but you can still like it. You know, there's things like that.
Don't pretend to lump yourself into the group that doesn't watch all the TV. Don't pretend to do.
I was like, yeah, like y'all definitely watch all of it. Meanwhile, I'm like, I've seen everything. No, but no, I'm so happy to be here. I feel like this is long overdue. Let's do it. It's gonna be fun.
Yes, and of course, Grace is here as well. You've heard her already.
Yes, hello. I'm here. Tasting things as well.
Yes. Well, today, part of the inspiration to have Chappell on is that Netflix had its Tudum event.
Yeah.
If you've never heard of that before, don't worry. I hadn't either.
Really? They used to do this like not in the Kia Forum, right, Chappell? They used to do they would do to them, but it would just be like on YouTube, on Netflix, right? You could just watch it on Netflix. Yeah,
it was just a thing. Yeah, and now it's the biggest event that I've ever witnessed in my life. Like I feel like where were our invitations to Tudum?
I gotta say, Chappell, I feel
this
I can't
was a
believe
party.
You weren't there. I know,
bro. This was a party. Like I said, it felt like the Kids' Choice Awards the way they were acting. Like everybody's like, yeah. I was like, why are y'all going up like this for Netflix shows? There was musical performances, all kinds of stuff. Tudum, Taran, it's gotten so big. It didn't used to be like this.
Listen, I don't want to spoil my reaction to Tudum, but if I had gone there, I don't know that I'd still be alive. If you catch my drift. Yeah, it was interesting. Lots of new news from Netflix that we'll talk about. We'll talk about a couple other news items, talk about some of the new shows that came out. Department Q is kind of one of the bigger ones. Adults, some people are talking about. And Karate Kid debuted this week. Bring Her Back horror movie came out this week. And then we've got some upcoming shows, mostly movies really this week. Lots of movies coming out that we'll be talking about. So stay tuned for that. But let's talk about Tudum. First of all, if you are like, what is that? Also, what is even that word? It took me a second watching it before I realized, it's the sound effects. It's the through the Netflix does. And that's what it's to do. That sort of like, I think is a good explanation for the vibe of the entire event. So another thing, if you've been watching The Studio, I sort of was imagining this was similar to like the two-parter finale of The Studio. I won't spoil it, but basically they're having just like pitch movies and stuff.
CinemaCon, yeah.
And so that's kind of what I was expecting, and it was so much worse, I thought, than the Studio's version.
Yeah, I mean, CinemaCon is a real thing that is where, like the audience is movie theater people, right? Like people who own movie theaters to basically like people go and they bring like studios go and bring their movies there, being like, you gotta save all the IMAX theaters for like Tom Cruise that we got over here, you know, and it's kind of become a big thing because there's sort of this like interesting, this felt like this is so, I mean, I know that CinemaCon is promo heavy, Chappell, but this was so like, I don't know. I definitely
Kids' Choice Awards was, I
think,
a good
is a very good way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, or like the MTV Movie Awards, but without the awards. That's the thing. There's no awards happening. So it's like, okay, well, what do you have when you take the awards out of these award shows, especially the high energy ones? You have music, you have trailers, you have special celebrity guests, and you have the crowd going wild. I mean, these people were screaming their heads off for the most random celebrities. And not to say there aren't celebrities, but I just don't think you get that kind of reaction being these particular celebrities. These are not rock stars and musicians, a lot of them. A lot of them are like thespians, you know, and the crowd is going up for them as if they're like, this is like, okay, like Lady Gaga shows up at some point. But I mean, you would have thought Lady Gaga was a headline like the entire night. It would have just been like a Lady Gaga concert the way they were acting. So yeah, I was very taken aback by the amount of energy in the room. But I don't know, Taran, I liked it. If I was gonna die like this, that'd be okay.
Chappell, I couldn't. We were like, let's watch this for the podcast, and I was like, all right. I was actually kind of excited. I was like, well, throw on, see some stuff. I genuinely couldn't do it. I had to stop about 10 minutes in. I lost myself. I sat through like 10-minute segment of like the Squid Game guards dancing. And I was like, they said that the real reality show was an abomination of the original show's message, but watching these guards dance in a Netflix promo is perhaps one of the most dystopian things I've seen in my life.
That was one of the good ones, I thought.
Oh, geez. And then it took another like 10 minutes just to get to the trailer. And by the time I got to the trailer, I was like, I don't even want to watch the trailer. I'm going to watch the show.
Yeah, I mean, that is a big thing in terms of like it's full promo. So everything is like, it's basically most of the time like a sort of skit thing that then would lead into then promoing one of the trailers for an upcoming thing. And like, Chappell, I'm interested. Like I went in with no expectations of like knowing that like there would be some. I felt like because they did the live audience, this one felt the most like mainstream appeal things on the, like if we run through the things that they promoed, they basically didn't do anything that wouldn't get a reaction in front of the audience, right? The live studio audience, as opposed to, I feel like in previous years, we would have got maybe a little like, especially the online versions, we would have got like snippets of things that are like, we're going to talk about Department Q today, which like is not the type of thing that they're rolling out Matthew Good on the set of Tudum, because it's like a Scottish, you know, crime show. So this was very much like to a particular audience of people who are watching Squid Game Wednesday, all of the YA content on there. But it seems clear over the last few years that like Netflix doesn't think it's competing with it's not competing with other streaming platforms, Chappell. It's competing with YouTube. And to me, this was like the biggest indication of like they want children to turn on Netflix over YouTube. And this felt like the epitome of that.
Oh yeah, yeah. There's so much to unpack there too, because you're not wrong. I think in past Tudums we've got like segments about love on the spectrum. No, this time we had a kiss cam about love on the spectrum. Like, let's bring in the love on the spectrum group. Like,
I was like, wasn't it Love is Blind? It was just Love is Blind, right? And they didn't even have half of the hosts.
Yeah, they had Love is Blind. They had one half of Love is Blind, and then they went to Kiss Cam, and the Kiss Cam touched on like 4 shows. It's like, we have Monday Night Raw, we have Love on the Spectrum, but you're right. The energy in the room, it feels like, Grace, they would have gone up for anything. Like, you could have said, like, okay, Emily in Paris, and they would have been like, what?
She was there. No, right. She was in a pre-recorded skit. Yeah.
But the crowd went wild, you know, like it just, you're right. The energy is very YA. They have a whole YA segment, and they even have performers like Taran was talking about, break dancers. Hunan Mukand, the Indian rapper was there. Like, it's just like, oh, we're making Netflix young and hot. We want this to be fun and exciting. And I'm like, we're talking about Knives Out. You know, like it's not that kind of energy for our Knives Out, but yes, it was. It really was. So that's why I thought, I don't know what they're trying to do, but we did not get like a rollout from Netflix. Is like, what's coming soon? We got a party and a bunch of movie trailers within the party.
Yeah. I think I just have such a gut reaction to corporations having events.
Yeah.
And how often they will just like hire celebrities and just be and I don't know. I bounced off of it, but there are some things to talk about from it, at least some news items, some dates. We got some trailers. Was there anything that stood out to you, Chappell, as like this was the biggest headline?
Oh yeah, well, okay. So I don't know if it was the biggest headline because Lady Gaga was literally there, but Netflix is finally doing the Stranger Things thing, right? Like they would go into this doing all of their little skits and segments and stuff, but they get to Stranger Things and they say the longest running show on Netflix. And to that I say, go to hell. Go to hell. How dare you? How dare you?
Well, that's true because now the casts are like 45 years old.
They're older than me. And so the fact that you put them on hiatus for 10 years and then come back and like, yep, this has been going on for a decade. That's you can't do that. This doesn't count. So yeah, Stranger Things and its new release schedule of the day after Thanksgiving, the day after Christmas, and the day before New Year's Day is crazy. This is the headline for me.
It's a classic 4-3-1 3-parter.
Bullshit. This is bullshit. But so what are they dropping, Grace? Is it like a batch? Is it an episode?
No.
What are we doing?
It's a batch, a finale is what they're doing basically.
So
is the finale 5 hours long? Like
that's true. These all could be like 2 hours long as well. So, but yeah, 4 episodes after Thanksgiving, 3 episodes after Christmas, and 1 episode on New Year's Eve, I believe. Yeah, I mean, I am excited. I love Stranger Things. This is probably the thing I was most excited about. That it feels like although again, it's not until November. So we're still waiting, X number of months until Stranger Things. They only got 3 out of the 5, whatever you call a group of 5,
right of the crew of the squad.
Millie Bobby Brown was in London shooting Enola Holmes, and Galen was somewhere else
in green screen. Yeah,
and they showed like behind the scenes footage of season 1. Like that's what they were showing until they finally showed some snippets of the final season. So I'm a big Stranger. I was thinking about have either of you, I know like all of our algorithms are all over the place, but like mine has been pushing me to rewatch Stranger Things. I don't know if and I'm like, I'm close to doing I might hold off a little bit closer to season 5 coming out, but I am excited for Stranger Things season 5, even if the whole thing has been just mangled in terms of a release.
I think the multi-batch release is one of my least favorite methods.
Oh, this is the worst.
Because
it's bad.
I don't know. I feel like the hardest part for me in watching a show is starting to watch it. Like when Stranger Things is coming back, I'm like, oh, all right, I gotta watch Stranger Things. Once I'm watching and I'm like, oh, this is fun. But so it's like if it's week to week, then it's like I'm in it the whole time. If it's one batch, I'm just watching it at my own pace. If it's like, here's a batch, all right, Stranger Things, the long episodes. Got to remember all the stuff that happened. I'll watch it. Then it's gone for a while. I have to do it again for a second batch, and then again just for the finale. That's so frustrating to me specifically.
But why can't they just release them weekly then? If it's from November to the end of December, just drop one every week. Drop 2 every week. Drop 1 this week, drop 2 next week. Who cares?
Chappell, you are on the Netflix beat. And I cannot wait for the day where they're like, hey, we discovered a new thing. We're going to drop our episodes. They are clinging to the death grip of the binge drop because it's so synonymous with Netflix. I think that they feel like they have to keep doing it. And so that they can get their like minutes watched or whatever.
I don't mind the batches if the batches are weekly. Like drop 3 this week, 2 next week, the finale the next week, boom. But Taran's right. Stranger Things just dropped 4 hours out of my life. I got to sit down and get through it because I don't want to get spoiled. So boom, today I watched 4 hours of television. Okay, when am I going to get the end of this? Well, the day after Christmas. I hope you didn't have plans. Okay, I'll do that. And then I was like, okay, I do 4 hours that day. I'm with my family, but I'm going to stop what I'm doing to watch the end of Stranger Things. Wait, but you can't know the finale until New Year's Eve. It's like, as if I didn't have anything better to do on New Year's Eve than to watch this show. Grace, these damn promos that we got, the behind the scenes that we got in Tudum with the home videos from when these kids were kids. They're like, yeah, remember when I was 9 and we started this show? This is crap. what are we doing? They really fumbled with Stranger Things, man. They didn't have to do it like this.
I mean, I thought it was cute, but not for hey, season 5 is coming. I didn't need the 3 clips of them all as children, but whatever.
Because you could have released that content in the last decade when you've been letting us wait for season 5. Like, where has this been?
Yeah, I feel like Netflix. Well, there's two things. I think one is that the companies often feel very like dedicated to the method of thing that they're like, no, we made a choice. We said that this was better. We have to hold to this. And then two, like I think there's sometimes it's just like a slave to the numbers. I went to the movies this weekend. We'll talk about the movie I saw, but I went to a theater, and I checked the ticket, went in. Saw there was a stand where you can get your popcorn, but there was nowhere to order the popcorn. I was like, wait, I can pick up the popcorn here, but where do I order the popcorn? And I was looking around. I looked around. There's a guy at like guest services, and I was like, yo, what's up? And he was like, it's back there. I was like, what? Oh, I had to go back to before where I checked my ticket, where all the kiosks were, so that I could order the popcorn on the machine, and then head back into the area to pick up the popcorn. I was like, why in the world would it be like that? Because I saw everybody doing that. Everybody was being pointed back to before they came in. And I realized, I bet what happened is the theater was like, we have data that says people will order more food if they do it on a device rather than talking to somebody. So they're like, well, let's put it all on devices then. They're like, but we don't have any devices in that area. You know where we do? Where you ordered the tickets before. Let's just repurpose those to order food. But now they're pre-ticket check. So now everyone's getting pointed back into the thing, and nobody's caring about how annoying that is to anybody else, because the data is saying that that's the way to do it. And the best way to save money is to not have to move those devices in the first place. And that's what I feel like Netflix is with these batch releases.
That's fair.
Yeah. So did you get popcorn or no?
Right.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you went back. And that's the thing. And that's the problem. Therein lies the problem, Taran. Yeah. We keep letting them get away with this. You should have stood your ground and said, nay, there will be no popcorn purchase today. And I'm taking all of these other people. Don't go back to the kiosk. Come with me. We're going to go inside. We're going in the movie. We're just going to sit this one out. And then they would say, damn, the data is not supporting this claim. Now we have to change things. But no, what are we going to do? We're going to show up the day after Christmas and watch Stranger Things. And Netflix is going to be like, see, it worked.
They did drop Squid Game last year on Boxing, and I do feel like that worked well for them. So I think they do like these like holiday releases. I don't quite get a month break between the first batch and the second batch, and then a week between the last episode. But
I think they are genuinely just going for holidays. I think that they probably have data that says, you used to run marathons of like Twilight Zone on holidays because people would have nothing to do but sit down and watch them or hang out with their family, and no one wants to do that. And so they get more viewers on holidays, I think, is the thing. So they were like, let's capitalize on that as much as possible and literally just fill up all of the holiday slots with Stranger Things.
Yeah. It's fun for the whole family. We're all here for the holidays. Let's all sit around the Christmas tree and watch Stranger Things season 5. I hope you're caught up.
Okay, so the other things were Wednesday, Happy Gilmore 2, Frankenstein, One Piece, Knives Out, and Squid Game, Chappell. Mm-hmm. Any of those you're like, yep, I'm like exciting?
I mean, I am excited about some of this stuff, but I want to go back to this live audience. You should not be this excited for Happy Gilmore. Like, Happy Gilmore is for my old ass. And my old ass ain't outside like, yeah, but these kids out here, the same kids that's watching Outer Banks and Forever are the ones that are screaming and hollering when Adam Sandler comes out. I don't believe it. I do not believe it. So no, I am excited, but just the levels of excitement that they were trying to present to us for the cast of Happy Gilmore is crazy. I just don't believe it.
Yeah, they did a fake press conference, Taran, where it was Adam Sandler, Julie Bowen, and Christopher McDonald. And I guess Julie Bowen, my niece is 8 and does love Modern Family, so maybe there's something to like Julie Bowen. But even then, I'm like, she's not like the person my niece is going to be so excited to see from Modern Family, Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, the shtick wasn't bad with then other people from the movie asking. The cast for Happy Gilmore 2, I actually have to say, it feels the most unlike the other Adam Sandler stuff that he's done, where it does feel like Ben Stiller's coming back, but you also have, I think, like Margaret Qualley and who else did I see? Like Betty Safdie's going to be in it, Haley Joel Osment. It does feel a little, Eric Andre, I think it does feel a little more like hip than I think like the rest of his.
Like he's not just phoning it in like he has.
I mean, he probably will, but I think that at least he has a bunch of other people around him who, you know, will be there.
Yeah.
So
they even fake answered the question. So why did it take you so long to make this sequel? They're like, oh, we were waiting. Like, yeah, well, okay, cool. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We like money. Just say it. We want some money. He had a deal, and we need that last movie made. It needs to be Happy Gilmore. Let's make it happen.
I mean, comedies that have sequels like decades after the original, I can't even remember one that actually worked. Because the thing is that comedies are so rooted in the era that they're made. I feel like it's so difficult to like maintain the original humor in a world where that like people have moved on from that style.
Like, what if I told you Ace Ventura Pet Detective coming soon? The
Right.
25 years later, you're like, oh, okay, you know, I guess I'll watch
Carrey
it.
with CGI de-aging, like
exactly. What are we doing?
Here's the thing, though. Like, I mean, you would probably know this better than anyone, but these movies that they'll put on Netflix, you'll be like, what is this? It has two of the biggest stars you'll ever see in your life. And you'll be like, what is this movie? And it looks atrocious. And you'd be like, this was watched 40 billion times. Like, okay, all right. I don't think it really matters. Like the movie stuff, like they did kind of, it's interesting with the movies that they picked, because they picked Happy Gilmore 2, and then they picked Frankenstein, the Guillermo del Toro movie, and they picked Knives Out. And those two those are probably the most like not this audience type movies, you know what I mean? Like there's some maybe to Frankenstein a little bit, but both of those feel much more artsy and like,
well, like Frankenstein with Jacob Elordi, you know, and like from
that's true.
Yeah,
but he wasn't there. He did a video clip.
Yeah, he wasn't there.
But like I feel like, you know, that's you're tapping into sort of that same kind of audience, I think, with him as a starring role. So I don't know. I feel like Frankenstein could fit. I think Knives Out has its own kind of, it's also like a celebrity studded kind of property. So it's got that kind of cachet.
They were losing their minds for Jeremy Renner in particular.
Oh my God.
They lost everybody's.
They stopped for Hawkeye, and I was like, "Are these the Hawkeye kids outside? Like, are these the girlies?
These are the young Avengers. They're all right. The young Avengers in the crowd."
I was like, "Why are y'all going up for?" No disrespect to Jeremy Renner, he's awesome, but he's not. I mean, he's not a rock star. You know the way they were acting, well, and
I feel like he's got like ever since his half the Jeremy comment, people are like really up in arms to fight for Jeremy Renner.
He got the loudest pop of the night for sure. Him and Guillermo del Toro were the two, like, and I was like, again, he's not Bad Bunny, you know, like I understand. I just don't understand the energy. Like, I get it. Y'all really like Frankenstein that much? Okay, fine. I'll tune in, but I don't know. It just felt a little manufactured. And I think that's back to what you were saying, Taran, about corporations. Like, corporations will get the celebrities and then pay you to pretend like you're happy about it. And be like, look, people like this, you see? And it kind of started to feel like that after a while.
I think my problem is that I'm very excited about basically everything that they showcase. Like, I'm excited for Wednesday. I'm excited for Squid Game. Excited for Stranger Things. And it feels like it was just like wrapped up in the worst wrapping paper. That makes me like nauseous. But otherwise, I think they actually do. Like, we've been talking about this, you know, in terms of one of the things that I always retort back about like the weekly versus the binge model is like, people will be like, oh, you can't like have a pop culture phenomenon with a binge. And it's like not really, like you can, like Netflix has had them, and they basically showcase them
in a different way.
100%, they're different. Yeah.
So yeah, Squid Game season 3 coming the end of June. So very, very soon. Very you gotta be prepared for the end of Squid Game. Then Knives Out in December, Frankenstein in November, Stranger Things starting November. So a lot of things out in that sort of like late fall, early winter time period as well, to look forward to from Netflix.
Yeah.
And then of course we kind of glossed over the YA, but Forever got its season 2 announced. And I heard they're already in production for that. So we saw that cast, saw Outer Banks. What were they talking about? Was it Sophia Carson's movie? Was it My Oxford Life? Is that what that was? I was just like, I don't know what this is. I'm old.
I think it's My Oxford Year, maybe is
My
the
Oxford
name
Year?
of it.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, more YA stuff. Do you, I've heard you covered Forever, right? You like Forever?
I did. Yeah, Forever was good.
Episodes. Yeah,
it was good. It was good. I was not shocked that it got season 2 because I could tell by the reception that they were gonna like, we can make some money off of this. And so I'm not again. The people were going up, and I'd say that's probably the most honest response. The YA people, the cast of those shows, I think the people are really going up for them right now. Like they're having all of these characters from these shows. Every cast that they brought out, I think, in the YA genre, they all are getting like a really big following, and maybe one day they will go on to be like the new A-list celebrities, but they do have their own population of people who are losing their minds for them.
I feel like they've kind of replaced the Disney Channel, no? Like those old like Disney Channel shows that spawned celebrities like Ariana Grande. I feel like Netflix has kind of taken that with stuff like Outer Banks and all that.
I think that there is. I feel like sometimes, Taran, you and I specifically, like there are a bunch of shows that are on Netflix that just aren't in either of our wheelhouse. That like there are people in our orbit who will watch, but like I do feel like they have a really good grasp on that. Like basically YA, like romance adventure-y type YA stuff. I feel like
I watched a season of Outer Banks. I couldn't get further than that, but I tried it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Totally right. I mean, in the same way that there's, shows like Tracker on like CBS that just crush. And it's like,
I guess, yeah. the Equalizer was on for like 5 seasons, and I was like, what? I was like, oh, okay, like damn, like I heard it. I was like, they're canceling the Equalizer. It just started. They were like, it's 7th season. I was like, oh, just started for me. No, so I totally understand that, and I think that's one thing that like Netflix has found the audience they want to appeal to. It's like the movie watchers, the TV watchers, they will watch whatever, but it's like they're now really leaning into like, let's get some excitement about these shows and get people really pumped and talking about, and making events out of the Walter boys, and really hyping those people up to be celebrities, so that when you get other Netflix like shows and like performances from them, you go just because of the strength of the name of the actor. It's like they're trying to build like their new, like you said, like the new Disney kids, the new A-list celebrity, like the little Brat Pack. Like they'll go on to do 15, 16 different spinoffs of these same shows, and they'll use the same people and just like slide in a new young ingenue, to follow in their footsteps. And they're just like, it's like an assembly line of, this little bottled fame. So I don't know. I don't hate it as a model. It's just not for me.
It's one thing there was no Bridgerton. No Bridgerton stuff, right? And it's coming back, right? It's coming back, and there's a spinoff too.
Well, Netflix had their event a couple weeks ago that they did, because they just did an event. I was like, Netflix just did an event, and so in that event, I think they kind of like leaned into like the older generation. They're like, oh, we're talking about Bridgerton, like, so it's not exactly why it's grown up A, and so it's like you have that, and they talked about like coming soon, like a few sports documentaries, the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, and all that kind of stuff. Like they really they use that for like the olds, and then this was for the youths.
Okay, all right.
All right,
they did have Ben Affleck and Matt Damon be like, we got a movie in January. Like, okay,
and they raided Cookie Monster.
That's right, they did.
Because Sesame Street is on Netflix now, like they had to do a crossover there. But even the kids were growing up like, Cookie Monster, what's up? Okay, what's good?
This is the other play that Netflix is doing, which is with Miss Rachel and Blippi and Sesame Street. They are getting kids hooked on Netflix from a very young age. This is the other play you watch. It's like
they're fighting YouTube with it. Yeah,
the Sesame Street play is brilliant, and like Miss Rachel, good for her. She just made so much money by basically just being like, oh, you just want to take a bunch of my clips from YouTube, put them on Netflix? Okay, sure, go ahead. She didn't make any new content for Netflix, from what I've heard. That's good for her. Just a genius.
And I'd say the age range too, because like even if you like think about the WWE, that's definitely something that Netflix could capture. When I was like in middle school, I remember thinking like, oh yeah, that's when I like really got into wrestling, like fifth, sixth grade. So I was like, Yeah, and I was like watching it on an adult channel, you know, like whatever, probably like a TNT, Spike, whatever, TNN, whatever channel it was on. Like Raw was on this channel, SmackDown's over here, but I was following it, you know, as a child. I would go looking for it, you know, and so now it's like it's all in one place. It's like I can watch Blippi and Raw, you know, or One Piece and and they were talking about even the synergy between like the New Day, talking about how we have the One Piece Slam and like yeah, we love One Piece. Don't you love One Piece? Because guess what, Netflix has a live action One Piece. Bring out One Piece. And the crowd's like, yeah.
Well, they did this on Raw last week. That there's the guys Brett Kreischer, I think is it. He has like a Netflix special. He was on Raw. Like they're doing so much, just like building their world out. So
yeah, we see you, Netflix.
All right. Anything else from Tudum?
Lady Gaga performed. I kind of just lost over that, but she didn't just do like she did like a concert. Like Lady Gaga
she did like multiple songs, right?
Yeah, she did from the new album. We
but
got
all
the
at
Wednesday
the end.
break. Yeah, just you had to be there. You had to sit through all of it to get to the Lady Gaga concert that was aligned with Wednesday. Lady Gaga recently released her album. She did the Coachella performance. Like she's having a moment, and Netflix said, "Bring us Gaga." And so yeah, it's insane to me, but it's like it's smart, it's genius. It just doesn't feel like Netflix.
It's also like hard to skip through like watching Netflix unless you're like, I guess, in a browser. Like it's not as easy as like a YouTube video where you can just like go right to the end. If you're like watching it on a TV, you gotta, like fast forward or like try to, you know.
It is annoying, but it's actually probably in their best interest because I kept doing that where like I could probably start to skip this and then I couldn't see the thumbnail to be like, what am I watching? So then I'd be like, now it's the thing I want to watch, and I'd have to go back. Like
you gotta go back.
Yeah, it's like there's gonna be Lady Gaga, but when?
Yeah, I was there for Lady Gaga.
Just keep watching for 2 hours.
I'm pretty sure the other thing that I don't think they did. I believe at the beginning of the show they mentioned the Sandman, and then they did not show anything from the Sandman, which feels like they were like, hey, you should not have
mentioned it.
You should not have mentioned it. We're not actually doing any promo for that show. Yeah, but you know.
Well, sort of speaking of Sandman, I did have a piece of news I just saw today, which is very exciting. It's probably just to me and maybe a couple of the listeners, but James Cameron just bought the rights to a Joe Abercrombie novel, his new one, The Devils, and he says they will be co-writing the script. This is kind of wild. James Cameron pretty busy with Avatar, and I think he's got like some other stuff going on, but I feel like I don't often hear about him buying rights to books. Joe Abercrombie is a phenomenal author. He wrote the First Law series, and I think is overdue for massive success. And if James Cameron actually does make a movie out of one of his books, like I think it's just phenomenal for the guy, and I'm really happy for him. So it's exciting news to me.
It's so interesting because James Cameron has seemed hyper focused on just making the Avatar movies until I was gonna say he died, and that feels rude, but probably like he's just gonna do them every other year until like I think there's one coming out this year and there's one coming out in 2029. And I don't even think that's it. So it is kind of interesting to think. I think that there's been this thing of like one of the greatest directors of our time has just focused in on this one thing, and that's fine, but also like a little disappointing. Like this guy made Terminator 2, like in the Titanic. Like what else could he be making? And so the fact that he's seemingly bought a script that Taran, you're very excited about, is interesting to me. So
apparently there's supposed to be 5 avatars.
Yeah, and
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes. Maybe the Joe Abercrombie like books are going to be his new thing after he's done with all his avatars, because Joe Abercrombie has a lot of books, and so maybe he goes and picks another series to kind of really sink his teeth into, even though it's like it might be YA, but we were just talking about like I don't think that's awful. I think we got a lot of YA talent out there, so maybe that's what he's going to do. Who knows?
The Devils is the first in a series, right, Taran? Is that right?
Yes, I would assume so. I haven't actually read this one yet.
It just came out. It just came out in May.
Yeah, it's brand new.
It just came out. Weirdly, response has been good, but it's like, not his best work. But it is like a new, fresh series, and apparently James Cameron is already a fan of Joe Abercrombie from his previous books. So, books get sort of optioned all the time, and then nothing comes of them. It's James Cameron's involvement that kind of makes this a bit more newsworthy. Something to look out for, because while this is kind of a niche story to me right now, theoretically, this could be one of the biggest movies in the world like a decade from now. So we don't know.
James Cameron like only does movies that make like $1 billion. Like that's basically what he does.
All he knows how to do. Yeah.
All right. Any other news from either one of you? Any news that either of you?
I will say I didn't normally. We've talked about this a lot in the over the recent weeks, as there's been like a dribbling of news coming out of this, Taran. So I'm gonna throw it out there, because there was a big. So it's just about the Harry Potter HBO series, because they did cast the children, and there had been these like John Lithgow got cast a little while ago. There was these casting rumors. J.K. Rowling has also this past week announced that she started a fund that she's just going to put all of her money into to try and basically, do anti-trans stuff. And so it just is this thing that like we haven't really talked about it much, because it's like I have such a fondness for Harry Potter from when I was a kid. Like it's a book series that my mom bought me and she read it to me. And then I was like, secretly reading more of it and be like, sorry, Mom, I'm jumping ahead. And I read it and I loved all the movies. I would read it as soon as it came out. And what's astonishing to me, and this is, treading new ground, but like, the story is antithetical to the way that J.K. Rowling like behaves now. Like that's the part I don't get about like a kid who's like othered and, all this stuff, whatever. But they did cast these children. And I do think that the adults who get cast in this thing, there's a little bit of like, come on, I don't know what you're doing. Can't read the room a little bit. These kids, whatever, they're kids, best of luck to them, that it all works out for them, because they're small children. But there's big news, and I think people are still feeling very conflicted. And my argument is basically like, the more you can do to not let Harry Potter still be in the consciousness, probably the better. And at the very least, try not to spend money on Harry Potter. That's the biggest piece of advice I would throw out there. But that did happen this week, Taran. I feel like we've been like always be like, we should probably talk about it, but then
it's just little piecemeals of news, and then it's a strange thing. I know some people are kind of like, well, why is Harry Potter any different than like an Amazon property? It's not like Amazon isn't an evil entity. And I think that sort of the easy answer, or this like the simple answer, is that as you just mentioned, like J.K. Rowling is so very actively using all of her wealth and influence to directly target trans people in a way that just quite frankly does not exist in any other sort of like creator or even company, really, where like, companies are going to like bow down to different forces, but they're generally, in it for profit over anything else, which is, its own evil. But they don't usually have like such a distinctly targeted sort of victim to their efforts as J.K. Rowling does. I think for a while there was this notion of J.K. Rowling being somebody that was like, oh, well, she's made some comments, but could you really point me to a... No. We are so far beyond that. She is now one of the leading anti-trans figures like in the world, has probably done more than anybody else, like by a significant margin to damage the cause of trans rights. It does kind of make it a little complicated. And it is a little frustrating that like HBO is so on board with this. But again, HBO, as I said, profit over anything else. And I do see that there is clearly a lot of profit and excitement about this series, despite the sort of controversial other things. Now, I think the interesting part of this, if we want to talk about the casting, is that we talked a lot about like Snow White and some of these other big properties that just have bombed. And often a common thing is that they kind of piss off both sides of the political spectrum. And it kind of feels like the Harry Potter series might be treading in those waters, because they are casting people of color in roles that were white before. And that is something that conservatives don't tend to like very much, but they also really want to support Harry Potter because it's anti-trans now. And so I don't know what they're going to do.
That's the stupid ass line that she's doing. She's doing that on purpose. I can't stand that lady because I too enjoyed Harry Potter and stuff. And then years later, I started seeing that she sucks. And so I was like, okay, y'all, we're leaving. We're not doing this. We're not gonna take it. And I was like, who's with me? People were like, so you're a Slytherin? I was like, okay. So I guess
this is the day I had left Twitter. Like I didn't leave Twitter. I just like removed the icon. And then I was on Blue Sky for a bit. And then one day, I think it was the day that the Mike Bloom, Derek Levasseur stuff blew up. And I went back on Twitter. Like, everybody's still here? What happened?
Yeah.
I thought we all left. We all were somewhere else.
That's how I felt. And when I felt it the hardest when they dropped the video game. When the video game dropped, I thought, well, we're not gonna play that. First of all, we are old and we have better games. There are other things you could play. People are like, but the game is really good. I was like, y'all don't play the game. Just play something else. No, well, I heard the game. Like, do you want to see this walkthrough of the game? I said, wait, people are already playing the game? I never played the game. But
there was an anti boycott. Like there was the reverse of a boycott. They wanted the game to be successful because other people didn't want it to. It's purely a culture war thing.
And she's doing the thing where she's like, no, look at me. I'm liberal. Look, the color. You could change these people's color. Like, race doesn't matter. I never said their race. Dumbledore's gay. I like things. And so you're like, oh, okay. I think she's playing. And then she's like, but not the trans people. Like, oh, boo, 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 boo. Like, you can't do halfway. And that's exactly what you're talking about, Taran. She's pissed off both sides, but neither side is like completely like, we're out. We're not doing this. Both sides are like, I'm mad, but I'm still gonna check it out. Let me see. This is a little liberal, so I can give to her. It's like, but she does hate trans people, so I'm gonna check it out. She's getting both of those things, and she should not be getting anybody. It's a wonder to me that she keeps getting away with this. I don't plan on watching this TV show. I don't. Every time I hear something about the casting, I'm like, I don't care. But people are like, but you see the casting? I'm like, I thought we moved on. Yeah, she's so frustrating. I don't like that lady. I've never wanted somebody to get robbed more in my life.
But best of luck to these 3 small children who've been cast for life-changing roles. You know, best of luck to you all. Yes, congratulations.
But I also hope it flops. Because you can. But listen, go get another role. Go. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it flops, you will work again. I promise. Or I won't promise, but there are other jobs.
Yeah.
Community theater.
All right. Well, let's talk about some of the new stuff that came out. I've actually seen a surprising amount of stuff about Department Q. I kind of thought it might like really go under the radar, but I've seen some people talk about it as being pretty heavily advertised on Netflix, at least to me. And it seems like people like it. I watched the first episode and I spent about 95% of the episode convinced I hated it. I was like, I actually don't think this is very good. I'm frustrated with like the quippy dialogue. I'm kind of bored of all these like different storylines. Like, how are they connected? Then the last 5%, I was like, all right, okay, I'll watch some more. All right, that got me. And having started episode 2, I'm about halfway through episode 2. I'm starting to be like, okay, I see it now. I think there's some fun to be had here. And I believe this is also based on a book or maybe a series of books, which I think definitely tracks. But Grace, I know you watched some Department Q. What were your thoughts?
It's based on a Danish book series that is like hugely popular, where there's been, I think, like a bunch of movies based on it. This is the first time it's been adapted into English. It definitely gives off like, I said this about what was it Black Doves that came out? That was the Christmas Netflix show. It kind of gives off that, but like there's definitely some Slow Horses vibes of like them trying to, which is basically the point of this, is that like Department Q is the basement, department that works on cold cases.
That's a great 2 combined shows to compare this to.
Yeah, and it's he like has been caught up in like some stuff at work being a detective, and he gets like banished to Department Q, which is the cold case one, and then of course likely is going to solve and get wrapped up in a thing that's actually going to be important. I really like this. I really like Matthew Good. There's a little bit of like I do really think that like Jackson Lamb is one of the greatest TV characters of like the last like 10 years. So then like Matthew Good, as good as he is like kind of having to be like sharp edged detective who, you know, it's like, I don't play by the rules. You know, I don't play by the rules.
He's so unlikable, and I expected, because it's Matthew Good, that he'd be charismatic enough to carry it, but it actually like isn't quite working for me. He's just so unlikable as a character so far. Luckily, there are some other characters that are kind of carrying the water right now. I'm sure it'll kick in because he is such a great actor. But yeah, that was part of my problem.
And then my thing about it is that I think it's doing a good job of centering on him. There is a lot of else going on, but I feel like, you know, like centering him through the story, I think is absolutely the way to go. Did you check this all check it out at all, Chappell?
No, I didn't, but I wanted to know, is this a binge model show as well, or is this a weekly drops?
9 episodes, all out. Just
it's a lot of episodes too. I was like, ooh, this is a big commitment.
This is big for British TV. 9 episodes.
Yeah, British TV is 3 and done. Okay, they be an hour and a half long, but it'd be 3 and out. Yeah, well, I think this works though. I think Netflix likes its murder. It's like it's mystery shows. I think it likes it like crime because I think they're fun to binge. I think it like kind of takes you back to, you know, where you're watching television and Law and Order SVU is on for 8 hours, and you're like, okay, I'll watch 1 episode, and then you're 12 episodes in. Like, I feel like that's kind of how it does with these shows. It's like Taran said, for the most of it, he's like, I don't know if I'm gonna watch this, and then by the end, he's like, okay, I guess I'll check out the next one. So yeah, Department Q wasn't even pushed on my Netflix algorithm because mine is crap, but I did see that it was number 3 on Netflix right now, according to my Netflix and what they're trying to sell me. So I might check it out.
This is of the same writer who wrote The Queen's Gambit, and then he also did Logan in 2017. I think he got nominated for I think he's a really good writer. I think he knows character really well. And there's just something about the like rainy crime drama thing on Netflix that I really do like. I know I've had some people who have been watching this and like think it's one of their favorites of the year so far. So I will keep watching it. I really like it. But I think it's fully in my wheelhouse.
Yes, I really feel like for me, if they just toned down like the quippy dialogue meter, just like a couple of notches, I'd like it a lot more.
But would it be British if they did that?
That's so Queen's Gambit. I feel like of like the quippy that like it has to be that. I think like that's so just like the British crime drama. I think it has to be like these very jaded people just quipping at each other. You know,
it's just like like you can see 3 characters on the poster here. Every introduction to each of these characters was their own like whole series of like quippy back and forths, and it was just like, can you act like a human for 2 seconds? Anyway, another show started coming out this week. Adults. I've actually also heard a bit about this one. People kind of, I think, have an appetite for this kind of old school comedy. I have not had a chance to watch it yet, but Grace, I know you have.
It kind of feels like a modern version of, I feel like Happy Endings or like kind of like chummy group of friends, but more modern. The only thing that bugged me about the first episode, and I'll start actually with what I love. I think it's very fun. They're like, very like millennial, maybe even what's younger than millennial. I think that they're millennials, or maybe they're younger than millennials. I guess they're Gen Z.
I heard there was a little bit of like English teacher vibes to this.
I would say that this is like, this is FX. So like definitely that type of comedy thing, a very like topical and modern. They're all these young adults. Obviously this at one point was called Snowflakes and got the name of the show changed to be Adults. I think it's very good. I like them all in the makeup. This one has been going a little bit on my like TikTok. I'm seeing like people are already sort of memeing it. And I saw a thing on Twitter today that was like, oh, this joke is really good. And it's like a clip from the show. I think that the show has a ton of potential. And I like it. The one thing I'll say is that it does a thing in episode 1 where it becomes not the grounded so there's like a moment where this guy he's gone viral because he was a whistleblower about being sexually assaulted at his work, and then he's like talking with this other girl and he's like, sorry, you have to have the victim card, and he literally pulls out a victim card and she's like, no, don't worry, I have one, and she's like, child of immigrants card, like, and it's a little bit like that's sort of like a myth, that's not very grounded, you know what I mean? But otherwise I think it's mostly very good. I think it's very fun so far.
The feedback I had heard about Adults is actually, I saw it on Twitter. People were saying that it feels like if millennials wrote a story about Gen Z. You know, it's not honest enough about Gen Z from a Gen Z point of view, but it's like what millennials think Gen Z would want to like are acting like. They're like the kids be like, That's how the feedback I was getting. So all the people saying like, "Oh yeah, the jokes are really fun." It's like all the people who are our age, but then like the actual Gen Z people are watching it like, fine, skibbity toilet.
Yeah, this is a Nick Kroll. I think he's an executive producer on it. I'm trying to find who's the creator of the show. Ben Cronengold
Rebecca Shaw and I'm looking them up. I'm trying to get their ages.
Verify, verify. When was this person born? What generation?
Like it's the thing where I think that you like if this show had been just like set in like 2015, it probably doesn't feel because it feels like young like so probably the people who are writing about the show are a little bit older, but then because they want them to be like young adults in 2025, it probably doesn't.
It's a married couple that are creating the show.
There you go. Yeah. I like it. I think it's, but I'm a millennial, so maybe I'm just like totally
exactly. That's what I was like.
You're like, this is so true of the younger generation.
Yeah. No, I honestly do feel like it feels reflective of what it was like for me when I was a young adult. Like that's what I'm feeling of like the way in which like you're just trying to like you're out on your own, you're trying to figure it out, and it's like the world is a little bit there's like and there's one of the premises in episode 1 is that this guy has whistleblown, and then this girl at her company, they're like, oh, you should use this to try and get a promotion because they're going to be so afraid of young people right now, and you can just get whatever you want. And like that's a pretty funny premise, I think, for like the first episode of the show. So I like it. And as I've alluded to several times, we know somebody who will be making an appearance in the show. Again, I don't want to say it before it happens, but we do know somebody who'll be in the show. So on the
so it looks like they were at Yale in 2018. They graduated from Yale apparently. That's Gen Z.
That's So I guess they're like what 27, 28 now.
Yeah, like old Gen Z. Yeah, so that's probably where that's coming from.
Also, the show's filmed in Toronto, so I'm enjoying it greatly to be like, oh, that's that place.
Oh,
that's that place. That's that place. Yeah. So.
All right. I did mention I went to the movies. I went and saw Bring Her Back from the Filippo brothers. They, of course, made Talk to Me. So I was excited to see what they were going to do with Bring Her Back. And I loved this. I thought this was really fun. I actually think I liked it better than Talk to Me. It's already one of my favorite movies of the year. It's tough to beat Sinners because it's not going to beat Sinners. And Sinners is also a horror movie, so it can't even be the best horror movie of the year. But it was very, very good, I thought.
I love this movie. You know what? I also hate it, Taran.
Oh my God.
That is exactly fair. Yeah.
This movie is so uncomfortable, Chappell. It makes you so uncomfortable. Like, I think that this is a thing that they're very good at, is just making you squirm in your seat while you're watching things. The premise is that you have these a brother and a sister. The brother is just about to turn 18. His sister is a fair bit younger. She is also blind, and their parents die, and they get adopted by this woman played by Sally Hawkins, who also has there's another kid, I think her nephew or somebody who lives with them as well. And just as soon as everything happens, it just starts to get weird and uncomfortable. And
phenomenal performances by Sally Hawkins, by Billy Barrett, by Jonah Wren Phillips. I thought they were all really, really good.
Yeah, it's really good, and you just hate what you're watching the whole time. And I think the movie does a really good job of sometimes when you're watching some of this stuff, you're like, what? That doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't they just go do this thing? And I feel like the movie does have like a lot of answers for why things keep happening the way they do, even though it's, there's a horror premise to it all as well. I just think it's the perfect example of these like horror movies that are obviously horrific to watch and like disgusting and gross and scary, but they're also like commenting on something, which this one is doing it, I think, on multiple layers. You have multiple characters dealing with traumatic events in their life, and then that's like sort of the inciting thing that is like propelling the horror forward. This is just like top notch. Are you a horror person, Chappell? Do you watch horror movies?
I'm not. I did watch Sinners, but I'm not a horror person generally. I'll watch it, but it's never something that I clamor for. But I'll give y'all this. Y'all definitely made this sound very interesting. Like I'm not going in to be afraid, but I'm definitely going in to be like, oh, let me see what y'all are talking about when y'all say is that good, because it sounds like it's very good.
It is very good. If you're not a horror person, it might be a lot.
Like scary, like jump scary, or like this is some
Not
stuff
very
you
jump
No,
scary.
it's not jump scary. It's
No,
like you watch things happen, Chappell, and you can't stop them from happening. And you're like, please don't, please don't. And then they do those things. And it's awful.
There's also some gross stuff going on.
Okay. I might be able to kick it with that. Like, I can check it out.
Can we have Sinners best movie of the year? Like, are you in agreement, Chappell? Are you in agreement?
I loved it. I loved it so much. I forgot Sinners was a horror movie until Taran said it, because that's how much I love that movie. I was like, oh, horror. I haven't seen a horror movie in decades. And I was like, wait, I actually watched Sinners twice. So yeah, I've seen it. I loved it. No notes. A few notes, but not right now. I love it so much.
All right.
I watched Karate Kid.
Karate Kid. Yeah.
This is there's a lot happening here. I actually think the movie is totally fine. Just like there's no need to go to the movie theater to watch this. It's like, and Taran, I'm just gonna Chappell, I'll quiz you on this. You get 3 guesses. The first like third of the movie is about a sport that's not karate. You want to guess what that sport is?
Jeez.
And they're in New York.
They're in New York. It's not soccer.
It's not baseball.
It's not baseball. It's obviously about boxing. Obviously. Karate Kid Legends for the first
transfer from boxing to karate.
Kind of. There's like Joshua Jackson's character is like a retired boxer who's like down on his luck, and basically the kid. It's the like this movie is only 90 minutes, which is like the best thing it has going for it. I think basically once you get in the back half of the movie, like they added all this stuff in at the beginning that I think doesn't really need to be there, because and then the other thing is I don't think this movie should be called Karate Kid Legends, because it's not really about Karate Kid. It's like not like really at all. Like it's like other than that they're doing karate and that there is some like Ralph Macchio's characters in here and Jackie Chan is in it. Like it really doesn't, like this is not the thing of like we're gonna do the all-stars of Karate Kid. You know, it's just another Karate Kid movie, and it's totally fine. It just, you know, I don't know. Just wait for it to be on streaming. Watch it there. It's fine. It's totally fine. I did get a headband when I went. I got like they were giving out little headbands. So, you know,
it's really funny to me that I feel like Karate Kid, I think, kind of like rode the popularity, the fad of karate at the time when it was made. It was like, oh, karate kind of like the cool thing now.
Yes.
And now, like decades later, it's like the thing carrying the water for karate. Like, you know,
I think so. Yeah.
Outside
the
of
only
Karate
thing karate
Kid,
still is going. Yeah.
You never hear about karate.
Yeah, you're right. Because it definitely had a moment, you know, and that moment is over. You know, when I heard that Cobra Kai was a thing, I was like, oh, okay. Like I wasn't immediately like, oh, thank God, more karate content. I was just like, okay, that's the thing that's happening.
It's literally just nostalgia for Karate Kid, which was just a like fad of the moment movie.
And what's weird is that there was like the point of Cobra Kai was being nostalgia for Karate Kid, but like with a different, unique twist. And then this is kind of like it's a fine version of the thing, but it's like a more boring version, arguably, than Cobra Kai. So, you know, I don't really know why it was here. I mean, Jackie Chan is fun.
And that's the appeal to me. Okay, my old millennial ass saw Jackie Chan and thought, I'm gonna watch this because I haven't seen Jackie Chan in a minute.
I know, he's so old. Look at him.
Curmudgeonly old Jackie Chan, like trying to get that's his grandson in the movie, trying to like basically like get him to train for a karate tournament. That's kind of like that, you know. Honestly, I would have, and I do think like the New York vibe. It's interesting that like there's so much like outdoorsy stuff because they do like the final Burroughs battle on like a helicopter pad on a roof. Like it looks visually very cool, but you know. I believe none of these. I think both movies from last weekend still won the box office, right, Taran? Lilo and Stitch still going strong, and Mission Impossible. Are either of those of your? Were you a Lilo and Stitch person, Chappell?
I've seen it, but the thing that interests me the most about the live action is the controversy behind it, or where apparently they've been making some creative changes to the plot and to some of the more iconic scenes. Ohana means family. They're supposed to say it a few times, and I think they don't really say it in this movie. And I think that was one of the like pivotal moments. And so I kind of just want to see it I don't want to say hate watch, but I love seeing something for myself. You know, when people tell me, oh, I didn't like a thing because XYZ happened, I'm like, okay, let me go see, because I want to know how I feel about it. As far as Mission Impossible goes, though, like it's Mission Impossible. It's kind of like you got to watch it because it exists, but like I was not dying for another one.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I kind of made the call. I was like, because I could go see Mission Impossible, but I was like, at almost 3 hours long and it not having like the best reception, I've decided I'm not going to see it in theaters, which is like completely the opposite of what Tom Cruise wants me to do. So I'm sorry, Tom Cruise, but don't make a 3-hour movie.
If anybody is a Severance fan, it was worth it to go see Tremel Tillman absolutely kill it in this movie. That's like by far that man is a movie star. And he got literally like a theater full of people to like applaud when he shows up in this movie. So that part is great. But yeah, some Mission Impossible movie. You know what you're getting. There are some very cool stunts in this movie. There's two in particular, and one that right at the end that are like extremely, extremely incredible to watch. But you know, it's Mission Impossible.
All right. Your Friends and Neighbors ended its first season, and it was picked up for its second season before the first season even started airing. So it will have a second season. Although I will say, given the end of the first season, you wouldn't necessarily know it. It had a pretty solid ending in terms of like wrapping things up. I finished it. It's basically exactly what you got when you watch the first couple episodes. It's just like mid-tier, but with John Hamm and a bunch of other fun actors in fancy houses doing things. I actually felt like it ramped up pretty well in episode 7, and then for some reason takes a left turn in episode 8 and just stalls itself out for an entire episode before its conclusion in episode 9. It's almost like it was meant to be an 8-episode season, and then they just added in an extra episode of filler right before the finale, which was a wild call to me. But otherwise, just like a perfectly, I think, fine season of television. Not something you should go out of your way to watch if you don't care for it, but otherwise fine.
Stephen King hyped up this show on Twitter, being like, "This is one of the best shows on right now." Which that's fun. I like it. It's hard. I'm also rewatching Mad Men, and I do feel like it's like tough to be rewatching Mad Men and be watching another John Hamm show and not just be like, Mad Men is one of the greatest shows ever made, and so unfortunately, by comparison, this other John Hamm show is just not as good. But I do think it's pretty good, and I think it's worth watching. But
I love Mad Men, but I also love the idea that Apple TV Plus will just be like, we have a great show. We're not going to tell you about it. Like, you have to hear about it from Stephen King on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, you're not going to know about it. Like, I've never heard of this show. I did not know this existed. I've never seen a trailer. I've never seen anything. And Apple TV just does that. They just do it all the time. Like, it'll be the third season of a show, and you're like, wait, that looks good. People are like, yeah, it's the best show on TV. Crazy. I've never seen this. I did not know John Hamm was still outside in the streets.
Yep. He robs his friends and neighbors. Chappell. That's the shtick, is that he's down on his luck and he decides that he lives in an affluent neighborhood and he will just steal from his neighbors. He goes and like steals their watches and then like pawns them off.
See, I'll check it out. See, and that's all it needs. And that's the thing with Apple TV. I don't know why they refuse, but they just don't have any interest in promoting anything.
Well, speaking of Apple TV, they do have a show coming up next week with Owen Wilson called Stick. In case you haven't heard of this one coming.
He looks like he does look like a golfer, right? He just does look like a golfer.
I feel like he could look like a lot of things, to be honest.
Definitely a hockey player as well. Both of those things.
Well, he could be a hockey player who golfs. Like, that's very common.
Oh, yes. Yeah. They could do.
I think he looks like he could play a lot of sports because of the nose. Like, it looks like that's like a sports playing nose.
He's a rough and tumble guy. Yeah.
Also, Apple TV just making their shows start with like one word S is like they have to now be doing it on purpose, right? Because there's also Smoke that's coming, which is the new Taran Egerton show, which is also an Apple TV one word S show. Yeah. But he plays he investigates arson is what Taran Egerton does on the show.
This is later this month. That's
Stick looks fun. Stick looks fine. It's Owen Wilson playing golf. I mean, I think that there are
teaching a troubled teen prodigy.
There are these things I think that like recently were like, I feel like I was talking about this recently with Dr. Amanda from Crying Laughing. We were talking about The Rehearsal and Everybody's Live with John Mulaney. And we're talking about like, there aren't really like there's so few of the like sitcom comedies anymore, but you do get a lot of these, like, let's just put you in this world, which is like, we still get that, this is the world of golf. So
Yeah, the title's a little on the nose though for a lot of these though. Like, Stick. It's like, okay, we get it. Severance. Oh, they're severed. Okay, gotcha. Silo. Exactly. Where it's like, oh, okay, it's pretty spot
also,
on.
C back in the day.
Yeah, see,
Stick isn't that good for this show. It's just there aren't a lot of other. I think Slice could have been, but like that doesn't really work. I think so. Stick.
Yeah, it's like when you see the poster, you know exactly what it's about. Like it's like, oh, that guy plays golf.
Karen, there's one other show I watched this week. I watched the first episode of The Better Sister, which is the Jessica Alba, Elizabeth Banks show that's on Amazon Prime. This is about Jessica Biel. Sorry, I said Jessica Alba. This is a show. Jessica Biel and Elizabeth Banks play sisters. Elizabeth Banks plays a sister who's like a little bit like she's been an addict. She's a little bit out, and Jessica Biel's character has like married her sister's like husband and the father of the sister, and then there's a murder at the beginning of the show. So it's like who's really the better, there's like the really out there wild sister, then there's the one who like marries her sister or her husband, like which is the better sister.
Marries her brother.
We kind of talked about this last week, Taran, that this felt like a mom show. Like there's very many, like there's a lot of dad shows out there, but this feels like a mom show. I think it's like decent enough for an episode 1. I feel like that 6.9 rating on IMDb feels about right. I definitely am intrigued to watch more. And I believe it's all out on Amazon Prime, so I will watch more. I don't think people need to rush to see it, but it has sort of like mystery thriller elements. We know that the husband has died, but we don't know exactly what happened. So there's a mystery element there, and it's not blowing me away, but decent enough.
There are some movies coming out. I think we already talked about the Phoenician Scheme. I think perhaps it's now getting a wide release this week or something along those lines.
You Wes Anderson person, Chappell?
No,
not for you.
It's just like I'm not a movie guy typically. It's just I have a short attention span, and so when you tell me like, oh, something is coming out, it's like I have to like I said, I need people to tell me to go watch it. If you tell me to go watch it, like this is good, you can't miss it, then I'll go check it out. But if it's just like, oh, there's a new movie out, I'm not running to the movie theater for anything. I need big reviews.
Have you watched much Wes Anderson? I feel like I'd be so intrigued to get your thought, but I also could feel you just being like, no. No, thank you.
Let me look at a list. Let me see, because I did like the Grand Budapest Hotel, right? Like I love that.
Yeah, that's one of his best, I think.
Yeah, I love that movie so much. But I'm looking at a list right now. Nope,
that's probably his best. That's his best movie. Probably.
It started and ended there for me.
That's not a bad place to end. I mean, I think that some people will tell you go back to his early stuff. I think for me, I talked about this last week, like his middle era was really good. I think like Fantastic Mr. Fox and Isle of Dogs I really liked as two like little animated movies. I also did like Moonrise Kingdom a lot. But after that era, he gets into this like Asteroid City era that some people really love.
He gets into this like he's doing so much. I feel like it actually started with The French Dispatch. I feel like
where
he was just like,
I just think Asteroid City is like the most prime current example. But I haven't seen Phoenician Scheme.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're also going to get extremely odd titling on IMDb, at least, From the World of John Wick, Ballerina.
I hate this. Why is this the title? Why? It's like we wanted to make the movie called Ballerina, but it's like, but the guys who love the shoot 'em up movies aren't going to go watch a movie called Ballerina. We have to say John Wick's involved, or our masculinity is going to be in flux. Like,
that honestly is probably what happened in the market.
1,000% that's what happened.
They were like,
you can't put Ballerina first, or people who like John Wick won't go see it.
I'm a man. I ain't watching no Ballerina movie. I'll go see From the World of John Wick Ballerina, but that's about it. It's like, come on, man. The trailer looked cool. I thought it looked just like John Wick does, except with the ballerina in it.
So the only thing... Yeah, go ahead, Taran. Sorry.
Well, ever since Ana de Armas had her brief kind of role in the Bond movie, I think people have been clamoring for like her to do that role but longer. And so I think she had an appearance in a previous John Wick movie. She's now going to get her own. I think that people are excited to see that. And I'd say most people are not as burned out on John Wick as I was when I watched John Wick 4. But I'm very curious to see what the response will be to Ballerina from the World of John Wick, Ballerina.
So biggest news about this is that Len Wiseman is the director of this movie. He did Total Recall and Live Free or Die Hard, like you said, some Die Hard movies. He directed this movie. They then basically went back and did 3 months of reshoots without him. So we'll see that, I don't think you can tell anything. I mean, it feels like that's not great, but maybe the first iteration was bad. So maybe they fixed it. I think that the reshoots involved a lot more I believe John Wick was not even supposed to maybe be in this movie very much at all. And I believe he's very much in this movie after the reshoot. So we'll see if that, if you can feel that at all but they apparently reshot almost the entire movie. So yeah,
it's not usually a good sign.
It's not. It's not. But I mean, maybe more movies could use full reshoots.
And then if it like flops, they're gonna be like, well, you see, nobody wants to see a woman in a role like this. This is why we didn't call it Jane Wick. It's like okay. Like, bro,
every failure of a movie like this is the fault of the things that people hate about movies, and every success is an outlier. It's like, well, we could have, never could we have ever predicted again that like Barbie would be the highest grossing movie. Like, we shouldn't do that again. That was a risk.
Yeah.
I also saw The Life of Chuck is getting at least some kind of release this week. We talked about this a while ago, Grace, because you saw this at TIFF, right?
This is the People's Choice winner at TIFF. This is based on a Stephen King short story, I believe. I like it a lot. It has one of the best dance scenes I've ever seen in movies. Just throwing it out there. So I like it a lot. Mark Hamill's in this as well. A lot of the this is from Mike Flanagan, who did Murder, Haunting of Hill House, Murder,
the whole Netflix slate.
That he since moved away. He signed an agreement with Amazon, but I like this a lot. It has a lot of people you would recognize from Mike Flanagan stuff. So I like this movie. I'm excited. I don't know. This feels like a weird release for a movie that like typically a People's Choice Award typically ends up meaning like you might have some Oscar contention. It doesn't. They're like Everything Ever All at Once one year like came out pretty early. Like we've had early release windows. This seems a little, I don't know. Seems
like it's getting dumped. I haven't really heard much about it at all.
I totally agree. I think if they thought this would be more of an Oscar play, they would have left it till this fall, which they're not. So yeah.
Couple other ones, but I noticed The Ritual with Al Pacino is also gonna have a release. This is a horror movie. Already not a great reception on IMDb. But Al Pacino and Dan Stevens in this movie.
I'll watch it just because Al Pacino and Dan Stevens are in it. So
just, I don't know how this happened. The director, doesn't exactly have like a ton of track record. So I don't know how they got these people in this movie. But
my most hope for this is that Josh Wigler goes to see this and he can continue his run. Him and Emily Fox at one point were doing Al Pacino rewatch, and they called it Al Pacino. And I just think it's the greatest bit. And so I'm glad that he'll have to go watch.
This is an exorcism horror as well. All right. Anything else, Grace?
Not movie wise. I saw that there was something else. There's a couple Netflix drops this week, right? So Ginny and Georgia and Tires. Did you ever watch Tires, Chappell? This is the what's the guy's name? Shane Gillis. If you just Google Tires, you can buy tires in your local neighborhood. But if you search Tires TV show, this is the Shane Gillis company that he like made and then sold to Netflix, I believe, is how this happened. Have you watched this though, Chappell?
No, I haven't. But Ginny and Georgia actually did get a little spotlight in our Tudum watch, but they did not mention Tires at all. They did not touch it. No. I guess you can't get the crowd behind it, or it's not YA enough. But Tires is a comedy, right?
Tires is a comedy, yeah.
This is action comedy.
Yeah,
action.
And then Yeah. The other one this week is, I believe, the Phineas and Ferb reboot, which a
it's
lot
back,
of people
baby.
my age, a big Phineas and Ferb. It was a little, I was like, it was a little bit old for Phineas and Ferb, where I could like appreciate it, but I wasn't in love with it. I wasn't like needing to watch it all. But people love Phineas and Ferb.
I remember I am too old for Phineas and Ferb, but I remember I was in college and it's like those like late nights where you're like studying and you just like need something on in the background. And I was like, what is this cartoon? And immediately I said, oh no, this is one of the greatest cartoons I've ever seen in my life. Like I totally enjoy Phineas and Ferb. I was happy to see that it's getting a reboot. Obviously, I will not be going to watch it. Some things are not for you anymore, Chappell, and that's okay. But in a vacuum, Phineas and Ferb was really good. I enjoyed it. And I was happy to see that it's coming back.
All right. Chappell, what else are you watching? What else are you watching right now? I mean, it can be scripted, unscripted. What else? I know Love Island comes back. I think I don't know if you're a Love Island person, but what are you watching right now?
I am excited about all the reality shows that are coming like in the next few weeks or whatever. But I have to binge watch season 1 of Sirens today. Like, so when I finish talking to y'all, I'm going to go watch that. And AJ Mass told me that
not that bad, not 5 episodes.
Yeah, I plan on just knocking it. Like Taran said, just something about sitting down and saying like, I'm about to go watch the thing. I'm about to go watch the thing. AJ Mass told me it was good trash, and I said, okay, I'll check it out.
I watched the first episode, and it was strange. It was strange in multiple ways to me. Where like I felt like I don't want to say too much, I guess, but I just felt like there was a lot of like mismatch in terms of who I felt like I was supposed to be sort of following, I guess.
Gotcha. Yeah, Grace, did you watch it?
I did, and there is one thing that bothers me that I don't really want to say because it's a big spoiler, but I definitely do feel like in terms of the thing that you're saying, Taran, which is like you weren't really sure if you're like vibing in the right way. There's a little bit of like an element of the show that was really interesting that basically don't explore, and that's my like big takeaway from the show, is that I thought it could have been more interesting than it was. Is my take, I think.
Yeah. Well, that will be our content for Nothing But Netflix this week. So I'll be I'm asking just Erling to come in and talk to me about it. And
very fun.
And AJ Mass, who said it was good trash, he's gonna pop up too. And so we're gonna talk about all 5 of those episodes this week. But yeah, just popping around watching things. A lot of reality TV for sure, especially Netflix reality. Sasha and I covered Sneaky Links, Dating After Dark, which was insane. Don't watch it; it's fine. It's just it didn't need to happen. It was filmed in a motel. It could.
Can I tell you the first thing that comes up when I search Sneaky Links is nothing but Netflix. Sneaky Links.
Look at us, top of the algorithm.
Literally the first thing that comes up. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
So the premise is that they have they bring in these people and they're like, oh, you're on a dating show, but they're all like hookup culture people. And it's like, but we're gonna help you find true love. Bring in the daters, and it's all of their sneaky links, the people who they have been like sneaking around having sexual relationships with, but not willing to go public or have a personal, emotional relationship with it. So they bring them in and they tell them, figure it out, or you're gonna get sent home. And then they bring in like decoys and say, okay, well, if you can't figure it out with your person, at least try one of these people. And then at the end, we see if we got any couples that leave the motel together. And every night they have a phone in their motel room, and that's where the sneaky linking goes down. Sasha and I talked about the premiere, and then we covered the entire series shortly after on Nothing But Netflix.
That sounds terrible in the best.
It's awful.
Way. That sounds like the best podcast fodder you could ever imagine. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Like I love getting to like drag people who like will put themselves in a situation I would just never be in. Like there's nowhere where I would go on the show. So it's like I'm not judging you for like the things you do on the show, cheating and all this other stuff. Like fine, dude, that's you. But I do enjoy talking about it. So yeah, that's on YouTube. And so I'm sure our comments are full of people from the very show being like, you didn't see everything. We saw enough. We saw enough.
Amazing.
All right. Well, I think that's it then for this week on the Tastemakers. Quite an episode. We Tudumed.
Some say we shouldn't have, but we did.
Yeah. Look, you could Tudum or you could don't. But I was excited to talk to y'all about Tudum, especially once I saw how excited the people were to watch Tudum. But now I have a whole list of things that I need to go watch, and one thing I need to read. I gotta go check out that Stephen King book.
You're welcome. I mean, this is this is proof of how the show works. Is that you're like, oh, I should go watch these things.
Oh yeah, yeah. And somebody has to advertise Apple TV Plus shows, and y'all do a great job of doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're their entire marketing budget, and they don't even pay us.
And they don't pay you. Exactly.
Yeah.
They refuse to have one of those.
All right. Well, tune in next week. We'll talk about all of the latest things that have come out, including those things we talked about that are upcoming this week, and all the other news and stuff that's going on. In the meantime, you can check out all the other stuff we're doing. You can find me on YouTube and Twitch. I'm reacting to The Genius still, doing some Devil's Plan on Patreon, and we're doing some Big Brother stuff as well over on We Know Reality TV. Grace, anything else?
Yeah, I have two quick things I want to do. I am actually for Diabetes Canada, health charity in Canada. I am doing a program called Pump Couture, which is basically a fashion show for people who like wear devices like pumps or sensors, and I am trying to raise money for that. So on my Twitter there should be a link there for that. And then also it's June now, so it's the Pride Has Spoken, so we released our first episode with the lovely Asia Welch, RHAP podcaster and Survivor 47 contestant, who talks about her experience coming out. So that's lovely. We'll have episodes all month long with different LGBTQ Survivor contestants or personalities, and we're raising money for charity over there as well. You can buy stuff from the merch store. I have a little special thing that we're planning. Gonna take some time to get up and running, but I'm very excited about everything we're doing over on the Pride Has Spoken. So check those out. And I'm on social media at Hi From Grace.
All right, and Chappell, what do you got going on?
I just did a podcast with Rob about the snubs from Survivor 50, and I had a lot of snubs. We went through 25 years of Survivor, and I got to complain about each of them. And so make sure you go check that out on the Club Condo podcast on WeKnowRealityTV.com. I already mentioned our coverage of the Netflix shows over on Nothing But Netflix. Sirens coming soon, Sneaky Links last week. And then, of course, I have my own podcast. Recap Kickback is my podcast where I talk about whatever I want to talk about. We're going to be talking about The Flavor of Love, season 1, episode 1 this week. It's going to be a great time, and I think we're just going to keep talking about The Flavor of Love until I get tired of it. But you got to subscribe. RecapKickback.com/subscribe to get to the podcast feed, or go to our YouTube page as we are creeping up on 2,000 YouTube subscribers. YouTube.com/@RecapKickback. But that's it.
All right. Well, thank you all again for joining us here this week. We will see all of you next time.